Hey everybody, Jay Weidner, reality check. Coming from my front back. I don't know what yard this is. I wanted to show the mountains, and I might do that. There we go. There's our mountains. That's the San Grey de Cristo Mountains, or the Blood of Christ Mountains in Spanish. And I'm sitting here with my fellow criminal filmmaker in charge. Here's Ryder Lee. Ryder is, of course, the director of our new film, JFK X, Solving the Crime of the Century. I'm the writer producer, and he's the director editor. And we are announcing that the film is out now. It's out on Film Hub, which is a new distribution service. And we showed it last night here in our local town, and got a really great reception. So, Ryder, what do you think about the reception we got?
It was an amazing crowd, amazing people. People really seem to enjoy the film. I think that it's different than what anyone has ever heard before. I think when you really sit down and you watch it all the way through from the beginning to the end, it really lays everything out perfectly. We go through the history of the JFK assassination, and then we
Yep.
get into some new territory, which I think is going to be very surprising for a lot of people. And this is the perfect time for it to happen as well, as you guys know. So
Yeah, it's kind of hard. We don't want to do any spoiler of the film, so you got to kind of have to be careful how we're talking about it, so that you enjoy the film and don't get spoiled by it. But it really, one of the underlying things in the film is how the organized crime and the mob has such a big influence on. That's my dog bouncing the camera on. On politics of the time and still today, and how the Kennedys were really the only people that ever really did any kind of investigation into the mob and organized crime in the history of the United States. So
yeah, they were legitimately trying to take down organized crime, and we show that in
yeah,
this movie, RFK, JFK's brother, which is said that the mob from JFK's father, Joe Kennedy, he had a bunch of mob connections, and he pretty much made a living, made a lot, millions of dollars running booze from Canada during Prohibition, and that's how he made a lot of his money. He had a lot of mob connections,
yep,
and supposedly he made a deal with the mob to get JFK elected. And then JFK and his brother turn around and start prosecuting the mob,
yes,
right? That's not what you want to do, you know.
no, big
so,
mistake.
so they definitely had a big motive in trying to, the assassination of JFK.
And you really have to wonder. We don't talk about this in the movie, but we know that right after he was elected president, he was searching for an attorney general. And Joe supposedly came in the room. Joe, his dad, came in the room and said, "Why are you looking for an attorney general when you have your brother?" And John Kennedy was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "Yeah, your attorney general should be Bobby." And John thought that was kind of nepotism, but but Joe had the final word, and so he chose Bobby to be the attorney general. And one has to wonder if Bobby wasn't acting under Joe's orders to go after the mob, and that maybe Joe had seen something in the mob that worried him, and he thought that it needed to be curtailed, and he had maybe no idea how really vicious the mob could really be. And so I don't know. It's just speculation, but it's interesting that Bobby Kennedy, who's really kind of the hero of the whole thing, his son is running for president right now, and his son has Ed Dowd, a former BlackRock financial advisor, as his treasurer of his campaign. Ed Dowd makes me and Alex Jones look like Boy Scouts. So if he's advising Bobby Kennedy, that's my dog. If he's advising Bobby Kennedy, Robert Kennedy Jr., that's pretty significant, I have to say. Something significant is going on in this country right now.
Absolutely. It's definitely really interesting that RFK Jr. decided to run for president at this very moment.
Yep.
I was right in the middle of the making of this film.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got the this is the fastest, easiest film that I've ever made. I got the idea for the film while I was actually writing the script for the film that's going to be our next film. And I got this idea, and then I called up Ryder and I said, "Well, what do you think of this idea?" And he goes, "I think it's a great idea." And I said, "Are you willing to come down here and like sleep on the couch for 3 weeks or whatever?" And he said, "Yeah." And so we put together the film in like no time. We didn't even have, usually when people are collaborating, this happens a lot, and we didn't have any of that, which I was really happy about because I really, I'm a cowboy, a lone cowboy most of the time, and so I was always worried when I do a collaboration I'm going to get in a conflict, and we didn't have any, and probably we should have, because he was making a film that was breaking all the rules, and I was kind of a strict rule follower in filmmaking, and I didn't fight him on his chaotic filmmaking. And that's what really you did in this movie is you, even though you were nowhere around that time period or really have anything to do with that time period, you captured the chaos that we were living in that moment when the assassination happened. This country was thrown into this fanatical chaos of confusion. And I think that your style captured that perfectly. And I think that's why the people last night were so, that had lived during that time period, were so impressed with the film, because it did capture that kind of feeling that we had at the time.
Well, I had a vision for the entire film. As soon as you told me that you wanted to do this, I immediately knew exactly the way that I wanted it to look, and I think that really came through within the film. And there's a lot of information in there. And through researching it and putting all this stuff together, I'm calling Jay like every day making this film. Like, it was the CIA that did it. And then I call him the next day. I was like, "No, it's the mob." And then I call him the next day. I'm like, "No, they really killed him." And then the further I got into the making of the film, and there's a point in here, which this isn't giving too much away. This, you can look this stuff up online, which is the autopsy photos of JFK.
Yeah.
Right. The Zapruder film shows a shot from the right side, right? And the autopsy photos show a shot from the back of the head. That's it. His face, the front of his face is completely intact. And that's what made me completely switch my thoughts around this. And I called him back and I'm like, "Jay, you were right. You're right."
Unfortunately, I am. And so it's a whole different view of the Kennedy assassination you've never seen before. I encourage you to watch it. It's going to be on Amazon Prime, we hope, very soon, but on a number of platforms, Apple television, and the way the Film Hub works, they have like 50 different platforms that they have deals with, and it's so weird because you're not really dealing with a human being. It's been all artificial intelligence apparently, and so that's been a little bit disconcerting, but we are up on it, and it is a pretty good deal for filmmakers. If you are a filmmaker, I definitely want you to check out Film Hub, because you'll save a lot of money. And that's important, because in this day and age, it's getting harder and harder to make any money making films. So the film will be up. It's really good. I think you're really going to enjoy it. It is the most different vision of the Kennedy assassination that's ever been presented. And I think it's the most coherent, actually.
I think it is. It brings something new to the table that a lot of people have never even talked about or ever even thought about. I mean, there's so many theories surrounding the JFK assassination, right? You have the grassy knoll shooter, you have the ritualistic aspect, multiple shooters, the lone assassin. There's so many different
the driver,
and people have been examining this forever now. There's people have dedicated their entire lives, some researchers, to researching this event. And they're more than likely wrong, which is going to be a heavy blow to them. But I think whenever they see the film and what we're presenting, they're going to realize exactly what happened, because we make it very clear. We lay it out perfectly. We show you exactly what was going on.
Yeah, and I've sent the film, a couple of very famous, I guess, conspiracy theorists have seen the film, and one of them, who's probably the more famous of them, he had a total meltdown. And so I completely concluded that the closer you are to researching the Kennedy assassination, the more likely this film is going to make you have a mental breakdown. I'm sorry, but you know, that's what I think. And I think the further away or the younger you are from the Kennedy assassination, the easier this is going to be for you to digest. And I think, you know, because the conclusion is actually shocking. No matter what you say, it's a shocking conclusion as to what really happened.
Yeah, it's probably going to blow your mind, and you're going to be questioning your entire reality after you're done with it. And I know that that sounds like a heavy statement, but from the people that we've shown it to so far that's seen it, people in the community, the show that we just did last night here in Crestone, the premiere of the show, everyone was pretty much gasping the entire presentation.
It's
So,
true. And they were completely riveted. It was amazing to watch it. So anyway, it's JFK X, Solving the Crime of the Century. It will be out in many platforms. Look for it. And we'll be back. This is only the beginning of our conversations about this. So we just want to alert you to it. And we're going to leave here because the gnats are starting to get to us. And
Mosquitoes.
yeah, well, I think these are gnats.
Yeah.
They're not biting me. They're just kind of bugging me.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. Jay Weidner, Reality Check. Ryder Lee, my partner in crime on this movie. And get ready for some interesting movies that we're going to be making, because I really want to blow up this reality. And I want these films to succeed in doing just that. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you guys.
See ya.